Some of the 37 directives include requiring every UK household to have 4 different bins. Some of the 37 directives include requiring every UK household to have 4 different bins for EU recycling targets, insurance for mobility, scooters, and another which would allow Brussels to raid the City of London. Staunch Brexiteer Jacob ReesMogg said, "These European Union laws that could come in after we have left may look to the government as a cloud no bigger than a man's hand, but could turn into a torrent similar to the one unleashed by Elijah. It could drown the City of London, soak consumers and flood farmers. The range and extent of these laws cover almost everyone in the country one way or another, and we would have no say at all over some laws that we could now veto. The chance for a vengeful EU to cause regulatory damage to us may be too great for them to resist, and the government needs to be strong in refusing to accept new laws once we have left." One of the EU directives the UK could face includes stringent recycling rules. Every household in the UK will have at least 4 different bins for unfeasible recycling targets. A leaked official list from a Whitehall document shows the waste framework directive would require the UK to increase recycling levels from 44% to as much as 70%. Environment Minister Theresa Coffey said that European Parliament plans are not feasible, but the document said there is a high likelihood of this happening, which carries a high risk. Britain will also be bound to stringent energy targets because of the Energy Efficiency Directive. The UK and EU member states will have to make efficiency savings of 30% by 2030. Ministers say it creates perverse incentives because it does not take into account energy efficiency savings brought in before 2021. MPs and farmers have criticised the proposals to limit phosphate fertilisers, which will cause prices to surge and make UK farmers uncompetitive. The document said there is a high likelihood of this happening and it carries a high risk. The European Court of Justice rules that insurance must apply to off-road vehicles, including tractors, golf buggies, mobility scooters and quad bikes. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson condemned the ruling as undemocratic lawmaking that will impose a pointless and expensive burden on millions of people. The EU could also attempt a land grab on London so that clearing houses in the city are moved to the continent with a European Market Infrastructure Regulation Supervision Directive. Cleaning houses allow smooth transition during a trade, and also set aside funds to protect investors when a trade defaults. It could make a land grab on the city. €750 million business is cleared by houses in London, which provides the city with 83,000 jobs and up to £80 billion per year. The leaked paper says there also has a high likelihood of happening and that it carries a high risk. The issue is likely to be debated at 2 cabinet meetings of the subcommittee on Brexit tomorrow and on Thursday. According to the Telegraph, sources say it is likely to cause explosive clashes. Brexit Secretary David Davis is demanding a mechanism that will allow the government to contest any new laws that are implemented during the Brexit transition. Boris Johnson called the ruling undemocratic. Mr. Johnson said the new EU laws should be a red line for the government. Last year, he said you heard the Prime Minister say very clearly in Florence that she envisages the transition period being run under existing arrangements. That was the phrase she used. The existing rules, a government source said. An implementation period is vital to avoiding a cliff edge for people and businesses and giving clarity and certainty as we leave the European Union, as the Secretary of State for exiting the European Union has said. Given the way the EU works, virtually all of the major laws that will be introduced during the time-limited implementation period are being negotiated now, while we are in the room. Of course we will need to agree on a way of resolving concerns. If we think there are laws that are contrary to our interests, we will agree on an appropriate process for this temporary period.